Hey everyone, BBD's here, and today I'm playing a 4-color Reanimator list that won the last Open in Indianapolis, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that deck. And I'll start with the mana base here. The mana base really works off of the 12 Return to Ravnica shock lands, because these 12 lands allow your 10 Innistrad and M13 dual lands to come into play untapped. So with the exception of like Blood Crypt and Overgrown Tomb, which like Blood Crypt doesn't allow your Temple Garden or your Sun Petal Grove to untap, and Overgrown Tomb doesn't let Clifftop Retreat untap. But for the most part, these lands all let these lands come into play untapped. So even though we're playing a 4-color list with no basics, most of our lands are going to come into play untapped. We also have one Vault of the Archangel, and I think this is a really good idea. With decks like this, you want like one land like this that's going to win a game that's like pretty even. Like let's say I have like an Angel Serenity, a Thragtusk, and maybe like a Centaur Healer in play against like my opponent's pretty big board. This card's going to take over the game. So it's always worth having like a one-of-a card like this, especially when you have like Faithless Looting and Mulch to dig for it. So basically the core of this deck is around Angel Serenity and Thragtusk. And the idea is to use cards like Grizzly Salvage, Faithless Looting, and Mulch to dump these guys in your yard, and then use Unburial Rites to bring them back. So that's basically the core strategy, and the rest of the cards kind of go along with that. Centaur Healer and Restoration Angel really help buy you time to get this stuff online. Angel is just very good with both Centaur Healer and Thragtusk. That's the main purpose of that card. And then Centaur Healer is just like good against aggressive decks, and same with Thragtusk, it just gains you life and kind of brick walls the ground. Lingering Souls is like a pretty awesome threat in this deck because it's very good with Vault of the Archangel, and because of Faithless Looting and Mulch, it's pretty easy to get them in your yard. So it's kind of almost a free roll a lot of the time, just having this card in there. You can just get spirits from time to time that are pretty effective. Another thing that this deck has is a couple of one-of reanimation targets. There's Gristlebrand, Craterhoof Behemoth, and Olivia. And Olivia is very good in the format right now. People aren't playing a whole lot of removal that kills her, and she completely takes over the game. A lot of standard right now is defined by like Thragtusk decks, and there's a lot of board stalls that occur when both players have like Thragtusks and Restoration Angels and the like. And Olivia just kind of ends that immediately if she's left in play. Like she will take over. She'll become huge herself, and she can steal your opponent's creatures. Gristlebrand is similar, it's just bigger than anything else that'll be in play, and the pay 7 life to draw 7 cards just lets you completely refuel your hand, which is pretty key against a lot of the decks. And then Craterhoof Behemoth is kind of a neat target, just as a one-of to sometimes end the game when you have a bunch of Lingering Souls tokens and like some random guys like a Centaur Healer or like a Restoration Angel. You can just reanimate the Craterhoof Behemoth and just one-shot your opponent. And then the big one is just Angel of Serenity, and this is one of the most powerful cards in the format. And the reason is that no matter how far behind you are, Angel of Serenity has the capability to bring you back into the game. And you know, one of the key things about a deck like this is you're going to fall behind early on probably, because even though you have Centaur Healers and Thragtusk to buy you time, those cards aren't actually going to win you the game. But Angel of Serenity lets you come back from any deficit, and the other awesome thing it does is when you're ahead, it just ends the game by like removing 3 of your opponent's blockers. So this is basically the core of the deck here, and I'm going to talk about the sideboard a little bit. Alright, so for the sideboard we have a lot of one-ofs, a lot of cards that are going to come in different matchups that just kind of hedge against different things, so I'll talk a little bit about those. Duress comes in against the control decks. You want to nab their Planeswalker, and also comes in against the new like Delver style decks that don't actually play Delver but play like Geist of St. Traft and a lot of counters and burn spells. Duress is very good at like stripping a key card from their hand that allows you to resolve something else later. Oblivion Ring is very good against Planeswalkers again. I also think it's good against other Reanimator style decks because you can exile whatever their big threat is, and oftentimes get back, like if it's an Angel of Serenity, get back some of your own guys. And Sever the Bloodline is one of the best spells in this format, one of the best removal spells in this format, and the card is seeing a little bit of play, but I actually think it should be seeing more play than it currently is. It's very good against like Lingering Souls. It's good against Thragtusk because you can, if they blink their Thragtusk over and over again, you can just get the beasts and clear that out of the way. And it's very good against any of the Reanimator decks because it exiles the creature, so they can't Unburial Rights it again. So this card is just very good against a lot of different decks. Golgari Charm serves a number of purposes. It's a good Wrath protection for like Thragtusks and Restoration Angels, because you can regenerate all your guys in response to a Supreme Verdict. It can destroy an enchantment from time to time, which is useful against like a Detention Sphere or an Oblivion Ring, or a Rest in Peace. And then the other thing it does is it gives all creatures -1/-1, which can be relevant against a lot of decks that are playing like Avacyn's Pogrom and Arbor Elves and things like that to just sweep those off the board. Ray of Revelation is likewise good against something like a Rest in Peace, but it's also good against like Oblivion Ring, it's good against Detention Sphere, and just the fact that it's a 2-for-1, or if you mill over it with like a Mulch or like a Grizzly Salvage, you get to play it again. So there's a lot of value in that. And Ancient Grudge is similar, except instead of killing those kinds of cards, it's going to kill like a Grafdigger's Cage or a Key Rune, is what Ancient Grudge is for. Bonfire of the Damned is an interesting one-of, and it's a really, really powerful card and worth having in certain matchups. Any matchup where there's going to be a lot of like board stalls, or your opponent's like basically playing cards like Lingering Souls, or like the Avacyn's Pogrom or Arbor Elves, like having a Bonfire somewhere in your deck is just very powerful effect, because it means that no matter how bad the board is, you usually have an out to it. Zealous Conscripts is great against like Planeswalkers again. You steal their Tamiyo and ultimate it, or you can steal like a Jason -2 it to finish it off. There's just a number of applications for Zealous Conscripts. Restoration Angels are go along with like the Centaur Healers and the Thragtusks in the main deck, and they're going to come in when you want additional ways to blink those creatures. Deathrite Shaman is mostly for other Unburial Rights decks. It does basically everything you could want in those matchups, because with cards like Grizzly Salvage or Faithless Looting, they're going to be putting lands in their graveyard that you can exile, so it becomes like a Birds of Paradise in that regard. But it also can get rid of their Unburial Rights, get rid of their Sever the Bloodlines, and also get rid of the targets that they choose with those cards. So if they try to Unburial Rights like a Thragtusk, you can exile it in response and gain 2 life while you do so. And then Centaur Healer is just another hedge against aggressive decks, just another early body to gain you some life and work well with Restoration Angel. So here's the deck, and hopefully I'll be able to defeat Todd and show him how it's done.